Hello everybody, Randy Patrick here again. Time for Housing Bubble 2.0 news of the week. I'm Randy Patrick, as I said, putting the realism back in real estate. I'm going to change some tagline ups here just because I'm getting tired of them, to be honest with you. I'm sure you guys are too. Anyway, today is the 29th of June. It's a Monday. Lots going on in the real estate world these days. Today was a release of some information, which we will certainly talk about. That's the point of today's video. So again, you are at Housing Bubble 2.0 and my channel. And if you're not already a subscriber, if you can please help my channel grow and subscribe, I really appreciate that because we're bringing you good content, what's really going on in the real estate world environment. Now I'm going to flip to the next scene here. So today, NAR, the National Association of Realtors, basically released what is their, what's called the Pending Home Sales Index. All right, so it's an index that they've created that we follow, and the index really is designed to sort of give a forward-looking position on future closings. So if the indexes are high, that means we're going to have a decent amount of closings in the future. Closings could be, if it's the, whatever index it is, it's probably June's index right now, or it's May's, I believe. We're looking at 30 days, 60 days forward. That's where we're actually going to see, real estate transactions closings. Now, pending home sales is just that it's under contract. All right, no guarantee it's going to close. There are things that can derail and stop a closing from not having the financing, being denied, having lender issues, etc., to people back on the contracts. But the whole point that it gives us a forward-looking indication as to what future closings will sort of look like. Now, we're going to look at some headlines here. All right, and I comment on the good and the bad. It is what it is. It's what the media puts out there. But there are some narratives going on, and if you can choose to believe them or not believe them or make your own opinions, that's your own business. I have my own opinions of what's going on here too. But read the headlines, okay? Pending home sales staged a historic rebound in May, meaning the worst may have already come for the real estate market. Okay, so right away I'm kind of going, ooh, market's rebounding, life is good. Guess what? We're not going to have to worry about this anymore. Real estate's coming back and everything's great. Everything is awesome, right? I don't know if you guys had kids or have kids and you've taken your kids or back a few years ago to see the Lego movie. That's the big song is everything is awesome. Okay, so this is what I wrote. This is how I put things together in my mind. When I hear that, it's like, well, the worst may have already come for the real estate market, so everything's great. Well, we're not too sure, and 1 month of change in a positive note doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet, people. Okay, that's from Market Watch. Here is a Bloomberg. U.S. pending home sales post record gain exceeds all forecasts. That's fabulous. We have this one here from CNBC. Pending home sales spike a record 44.3% in May as home buyers rush back into the market, which is great. And if you want to read some of the details on that, at least when you look at past some of the headlines, there may be some realism there. Pending home sales spiked a stunning 44.3% in May compared with April, according to the National Association of Realtors, which is referred to as NAR. That beat expectations of a 15% rise. Sales were still 5.1% lower compared to last May. So keep that in mind, everybody. All right. The average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage, started in May around 3.2%. By the start of June, it was down to about just below 3%. New coronavirus hotspots and continued spread of the disease could derail the trend, and economists warn. So yes, so let's put some realism. I mean, we got the headlines here. So when you look at the headlines, you get excited and you think everything is great. But when you start to delve into some of the articles, again, let's temper it with some realism, which is what we need to be doing here. So again, this is from Zero Hedge here. U.S. pending home sales explode by record in May, back to 2001 levels. So again, new home sales soared, existing home sales plunged, leaving the pending home sales as the tiebreaker for May's picture in the U.S. housing market. After crashing by over 20% month over month in both March and April, analysts expected a 19.3% rebound month over month in May, but instead it exploded by a record 44.3% month over month. But pending home sales remained down 10.4% year over year. So it was a good month. There's no doubt about it. People were sort of, we'll call it, their wings were clipped and we were forced to be inside for March and April. And when May rolled around and there was some, we'll say, relaxing on some of the issues with the pandemic and the virus, what you had to do, masks, going out here and there, whatever, people hit the road. Now remember, it is the start what I call the summer selling season. Okay, so essentially, stuff you're going to be doing May and June are going to be closing in July and August. So people who need to move, need to relocate, have growing families, changing jobs, trying to do whatever they need to do. This is typically the season where you're going to see the most sales coming up, and thus, May is one of the busiest months out there, traditionally for contracts, signings, etc., etc. So this is not, this is not surprising. I realize that it's a good jump, but this is traditionally what happens this time of year anyway. All right. So this is NARS article here. So pending home sales notch record-setting 44.3% increase in May, which is really great. When you look at it, basically, I guess you could say this has been a spectacular recovery for contract signings and goes to show the resiliency of American consumers and their evergreen desire for homeownership, said Lawrence Young, NARS chief economist. The bounce back also speaks to how the housing sector could lead the way for a broader economic recovery. Well, and that, so of course he's going to say it's a great month and it's exciting because that's his deal. Okay. He needs to do that. And from a broader economic recovery, remember that real estate actually makes up a significant amount of GDP in our economy, like big time, because, what happens when we have a home sale? All right. So let's start. We have real estate agents get commission, title and escrow companies, charge for the transaction. Mortgages are written. Mortgage brokers, loan officers are getting paid. Home inspectors are getting out there. Appraisers are getting out there. Okay, you bought a house. What are you going to do? You're going to move into a house. So guess what? Moving companies are out there. And guess what? If you buy a house, what do? You're going to go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, other local hardware stores and buy stuff, right? You're going to go to Target and Walmart and IKEA and other locations to buy home furnishings, right? People, you could be renting moving trucks and having movers help you. It's going to happen when people come to your house to help you move. What do? It's pizza and beer. So you're supporting that. And then when you're finally in your house, people come over with home warming gifts and they're buying stuff for you. So when you actually take a look at, and not to mention the house, if it's a brand new house, you have all the building that goes on. But again, just, when you take a look at, a real estate transaction on the retail, housing, single family house, whatever, stuff that we're going to buy and live in, non-commercial, we'll put it that way. It impacts a lot of people and steps and processes along the way. So it's very, very important, for the GDP, that housing continues and remains strong. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. NAR now predicts existing home sales to reach 4.93 million units for 2020. New home sales is at 690,000. All figures light up in 2021 with positive GDP, employment, housing starts, and home sales. Young noted that in 2021, sales are forecast to rise to 5.35 million units for the year. So they're basically, we were down, to, again, they're taking this month, extrapolating it, and trying to give an estimate of what sales are going to be for the year, which is, I guess, is what they have to do. Just realize that that's what goes on here. And with respect to National Association of Realtors, that's 1.4 million strong members, and those members pay an annual fee to National Association of Realtors, as the association for lobbying, protection, things like that. So, realize that, it's a machine and they got to support that. Just, to take a look here, this is a nice infographic. So really, the pending home sales index for May was 99.6, which was a significant increase. It said 44% from the month before. It's still year over year down from last year's numbers. If you take a look at how it breaks out, there's 4 regions and how we look at housing: West, Midwest, South, and Northeast. You can take a look at the Midwest numbers, still down 1.4%. The West numbers year over year still down 2.5%. The Northeast, lower index, year over year down 33%. So it's still not good. And the only true, I guess you could say, year-over-year increase was the South region, who actually had a year-over-year of 1.9% for a year-over-year increase for pending home sales in that region. Okay, so the interesting thing, though, is that we don't know how they calculate the index because it's their created index. All right, they also created a housing recovery index, which I haven't looked at yet, but they've created that so they can measure the effect of the virus and how housing is recovering, et cetera, et cetera. So they're creating this. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes to figure out what this means. So but again, I guess, and again, I don't know how this is weighted, whether it's I didn't do this, whether it's all these indexes divided by 4 and that's your index, or whether there's weight given to states, population, regions. I don't know. Okay, but again, there was a significant increase in the index for May. Everyone's going to be happy about that. Now, I want to point this out, though, is that when you talk about record breaking things that go on, we have to take a look at the comparative analysis on this. So this actually, if you go into NARS website, you can pull this up, and it's pending home sales index. So if you take a look towards the bottom, there on the left, there's 2020 May pending, and you can see the index is 99.6%. You can take versus last month, you can take a look at the growth factor. But if you go up to April was 69. And March was 88.2. So clearly when April was at we'll call it the peak of the shutdown and lockdowns, and you can't do anything situation with the pandemic across the country. So we see how that has fallen very hard for pending home sales. So clearly, when there's an it's opening up, 99.6 compared to 69, that's your 40 40+% increase. So it's not like we're having a normal marketplace and everything is more than wonderful and we jumped 40% plus percent. We basically tanked probably 45%. And if you take a look at February, from February down into April, that's a significant drop. And now we're jumping back up to a little bit of normalcy that we've had in the past month of May. So that's the scoop, guys. So again, just realize the context of this. That's why when you look at the headlines, you think, oh my goodness, everything's great and people are going to jump to conclusions. Well, you know what? We're not quite there yet, and there's going to be worse things that's going to happen because all the effects of the pandemic, all the shutdowns, job losses, foreclosures, forbearance, that's not hitting the market yet. That's that we're still under foreclosure eviction moratoriums. Majority of states are still under rental eviction moratoriums. Granted, some of them are releasing some of that now. Some of them are, again, we're at the end of the month in June. So I know even our state in Florida, it's supposed to expire tomorrow on July 1st. And we'll see whether based on, the sort of second wave of the pandemic, the virus, whether they're going to be extended. So we're not out of the woods yet. And I do believe there is damage that's coming to the housing market that, people just don't want to talk about and don't care at this point in time because we're just, we're looking at headlines. We're dealing with our emotions right now, and this is making me feel good, and we're going to go forward. So it is what it is. You can formulate your own opinions. I certainly have mine, and I think what kind of are. But just I wanted to show you that, we did tank. And, for me, I'm not, the April tank of pending home sales was a big number, and that's because of the pandemic. I'm not saying that the market's crapping up because of the market. I'm a big enough boy to go, that's because of the pandemic and we couldn't go out to look at homes and put them under contract. So again, I try to be realistic and where I'm coming from when I look at these things as well. All right. So, what do you call this? Well, is this what's referred to as the dead cat bounce? And, for those of you who don't know the definition, I pulled this off Investopedia. Basically, a dead cat bounce is a temporary recovery of asset prices from a prolonged decline or a bear market that is followed by the continuation of the downtrend. So this is what, so if we we were so low, bang, prices and activity could temporarily rise. The name dead cat bounce is based on the notion that even a dead cat will bounce if it falls far enough and fast enough. So, it's up to you. This is the timing of, the summer selling season. It's simple as that. So people need to get out. People need to relocate and change. And why is it so important? Because if you're moving between school zones and things like that and getting kids registered for school, etc. This is where all the activity occurs right now. So people go out and buy homes or put them under contract May and June, closings in July and August. And that's, ever since I've been in real estate, this has never failed to be the busiest time of year. And even with the pandemic going on, people still have to do their best to go out there. And that virtual open houses were going on. People were looking online. Some people were just buying sight unseen because they have to. So technology is put in place. People try to do their best, to make the real estate market move, even with shutdowns and you can't have open houses and stuff like that. So again, that's starting to relax a bit now. But people were doing their best to move property, in clearly in May here. So that is where we are at. So having said that, I'd like to thank you for the views, the comments, the likes, etc. If you're looking for more information on real estate, there's my email address. Certainly drop me an email. If you want to talk, please put your phone number in the email. What am I doing? I'm looking at tons of property now. Things are shifting. Things shift. This is media, and this is, I guess you could say, it's retail stuff, right? So it's stuff that we talk about. It's more broad based. I do a lot of behind the scenes work, off market stuff, whatever. So I see what we call the boots in the ground, the feet in the street, the real kind of world stuff happening in our marketplace. And for example, I literally in the mail today got my we'll call Florida Realtor magazine, and I looked at some statistics, and we can as much as we see all these pending home sales, bang, this is great, under contract, we are sucking on the inventory side. At least especially where I live, we have ridiculously low inventory. We're actually below 2 months of inventory in our marketplace here. So anything that goes in the market is going to get snapped up because people need to move, need to live, need to relocate, whatever it is. So just realize that there's a number of different layers to all this. But if you want more information on what's going to happen in the future, how you can participate, how you can find cheaper properties, etc., please drop me a line, and we'll go from there. So having said that, thank you once again. Have a great day, everybody. Look forward to doing a few more of these as the week goes on. Everybody take care.